hey, if you pay me this much, I'll come work for you. And he's like, no.
I thought I was eating a bowl of like chicken noodle soup, right? And I'm eating my soup, and then there's a chicken foot inside my soup. Oh my God, I can't eat a chicken foot. It's like amazing when it's amazing. It's amazing terrible when it's terrible.
Exactly.
There's like no in between.
That sucks. Like that literally, like I have gone to now 2 years of therapy over this. Like it is the worst. It was like a movie, like write it on a napkin, like I'll buy it from you and get you like kind of out of this.
I'm here sharing inspiring stories about fearless entrepreneurial women to help encourage you to live your life unapologetically. I'm your host, Heather Blankenship. Welcome to the Unapologetically Me podcast.
On today's episode, I'm talking with Miss Isabel Guarino, and we are talking all about what it's like to have a relationship with somebody who's from a dramatically different financial background as you are. We're talking about having interracial relationships as well as raising children in this environment, and we're also talking about an asset class that has been highly requested. She and her family are investing in financial living facilities, and they've been doing this for a really long time, and they have a really good reason why. She had her grandmother who was getting older and older, and they were visiting these facilities realizing, I don't want grandma staying in a place like this. So as an entrepreneur, your brain starts spinning and you start thinking, how could this be a business and make sure my grandmother's really well taken care of? And she talks about how they did that. So let's get into it. Isabel, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So when you came and talked to my women's group, you talked about a topic that I wasn't really aware of. And I think it's because we're using some words interchangeably, which drives me totally crazy because you don't really know what we're talking about.
Yes.
I hear senior living facilities, senior housing, like where are the older people gonna live? Like talk to us about that industry and why we like use some of these words interchangeably and what the actual difference is.
I think it's kind of like taxi was the thing before Uber. Like people think of assisted living and they think of one thing. They think of a big commercial facility, right? Long hallways, multiple floors, impersonal staff where you kind of feel like you're going to a home. They'll call it a home, but it's a facility, right? It's the Brookdale, it's the Sunrise, it's the Atria. They may have a big fancy chandelier when you walk in, but then you actually put your loved one there and you're like, oh my God, they're getting abused and neglected.
It's similar to a hospital.
It's terrible, right? So that's what people think of. That was what taxi was, right? Like we all were like, let's go to the bar, let's go to the restaurant. We're calling a taxi. Then all of a sudden Uber comes and it's like, we can't even imagine calling a cab anymore unless we were in New York City, you know, or maybe another country. But now Uber's all the rage. So that's what we're trying to make residential assisted living. And simply what that is it's a residential home, so a single family home. But when I say that, don't think 3-bed, 2-bath. Think like large luxury upscale residential home. But it's doing the same thing. It's having those seniors with 24/7 care, medication management, 3 meals a day, whatever it is. And they're still getting that assistance for quite similar pay, but they get to stay in a neighborhood, in a home where they grew up, not necessarily have to go to something that feels like a hospital.
Okay, so it's interesting you say this. I have a girlfriend who has 6 kids.
Yeah.
And she bought a house that was meant to be one of these facilities because all the kids have a bedroom.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So it was meant to be for 10 people.
Yes.
And she gets to Airbnb the basement.
Awesome.
Which was meant to be 2 other...
Like caregivers or something?
Yes. And so she literally pays her mortgage
Yeah.
by Airbnb the rooms that were meant to be downstairs, and her kids and her family live on the top. So
I love that.
That just connected for me that's what that is. So
yes.
Each of these rooms in this, because obviously if you buy something existing, you're going to have to remodel it to become this, or you're going to have to build from the ground up.
Correct.
So talk to us about what one of these facilities or one of these homes... this one's a home, not a facility.
Yes.
Okay, talk to me about what one of these homes would need.
Yeah, okay, so you don't need to be ADA compliant, but you want to be as close to that as possible. So ramps, guardrails, handrails, things to keep the seniors
Showers
safe.
if they can get in and out.
Exactly, roll-in showers, things of that nature. You know, flooring, we want smooth, clean floor, really no carpets or even rugs, because if you have a walker, you have a wheelchair, it just becomes a trip hazard. You want as many bedrooms and bathrooms as you can.
Bathrooms are inside the bedrooms.
If you can, yes. I mean, like residentially, sometimes they're outside, you know, like in a regular home, you may have 2 rooms that share a bathroom, and not like Jack and Jill style, but like an actual, you have to exit your room to go. And that's okay, because it is a residential home. So that kind of does feel normal, but as many private bedrooms and bathrooms as you can, because people don't really want to share at this
time. And do
caregivers
caregivers live there, or they come and go at certain times?
So right now, the industry is run 80% mom and pop. And
Okay.
I say that because they are running it like the owner lives in it, works in it, does it all themselves. And so the caregivers or owners may live in the home. We are the 20% who run it professionally and say, no. We are hiring staff to do shift work to come and go. So 24-hour,
So they're not actually
coverage,
living there. They're
but
just
no one's
changing
living
shifts.
there. Listen, I don't want to have to fire someone and then they're jobless and homeless.
Yeah.
That is like I already feel bad enough making you jobless. I don't want to also now put you on the street. So I don't recommend live-in. We don't do live-in. But the shift work works really well for this model too.
And how about their food? Is that being made on site for them, or their delivery services? How are we feeding grandma and grandpa as they're in these homes?
Yeah, so usually the caregivers are responsible for cooking, cleaning, laundry, caregiving. Now, if it's a more high-end home, so I have 3 homes, 2 are kind of middle of the line, and 1 is more high-end, and they have a private chef. So the chef comes in, cooks a made-to-order breakfast, makes something that could be heated up later for dinner, and makes lunch, and he's out of there by noon. He's like a 5 a.m. to noon, and he probably goes and works another job somewhere else, but they now have fresh food every day. The caregivers don't have to do it. They just heat up dinner later, and then caregivers are responsible for like, does grandma want a snack? Okay, we'll get her a snack.
So when you say caregiver, at first I was thinking nurse. Now I realize it's not a nurse.
Nope.
The way you're describing this.
Nope.
Talk to me about the type of qualifications we would look for in a caregiver. Who is this person?
So it's usually a CNA or an HHA, a home health aide, or a certified nursing assistant, whatever it is. Okay, so it's like a license that you get through the state. Every state varies on how strict the license is. Some states it's like 60 hours of experience in this 4-hour test, and other states is literally be 18, have a GED, and take a 30-minute quiz. Like, it is vast.
Okay.
So every state's different, but I'm going to say you want to look at a state that has higher restrictions and say, if my state has lower, I'm going to say we in my house abide by these things to become an employee here. So caregivers, honestly, they're getting paid like minimum wage. And when I say that, I mean like the 15 minimum wage, not 7 or 8. That's still in some markets.
Yep.
But 15 plus a couple dollars an hour. You can get that working at In-N-Out or Chick-fil-A these days.
Yeah.
So they're not doing this like just for shits and giggles. Like, they're doing this because they love
They're truly
seniors.
caregivers.
They are caregivers. They wouldn't do anything else. Like, this is what they're born to do.
Listen, y'all, I know today's episode is inspiring, but inspiration alone will never carry us to our ultimate goals. That's why I started the Society of Entrepreneurial Women. It's a mastermind for high-performing female investors and entrepreneurs who are living their lives unapologetically. In a world where most people don't get us, or they try to keep us confined in a small box, the Society exists to turn off the brakes and set you free. We have weekly calls covering investing, wealth building, health, relationships, family, and a whole lot more. We have small tribes to hold each other accountable to our goals. We have in-person, ladies-only retreats to disconnect and drive each other towards our dreams. And most importantly, this is a community where you can be unapologetically you. Celebrate your wins, scream your successes from the top of the rooftop, become best friends with women who get you. We're 3 years in, and I can honestly say my best friends today are all from the Society. Click the link in the show notes to learn more.
Okay. So when we're talking about this, if I'm thinking about my other real estate assets, I know that I couldn't have, say, 2 bedrooms and be able to have a budget to hire somebody, right? That's not going to work.
Nope.
So is there kind of a minimum number of like you really, and I get that real estate costs different in
Yeah.
different areas, but generally, are we looking for like you got to have X number of rooms, or is there a guideline that says for in these residential areas you can't have more than X number of rooms?
Yep. So every state will have a max number of people you're allowed to have in a licensed residential assisted living. So we're in Phoenix right now. In Arizona, you're allowed to have 10. So all my homes are 10 bed, 10 bath homes. They didn't start that way, right? We converted them to become that way. In Texas, it's 16. In California, it's 6. Like, it ranges all over.
And so maybe
the
there's a
place.
strategy in that, because you wouldn't want to invest somewhere maybe with 6, because can we even break even or pay a caregiver?
5 is really your number, where it's like everything over 5 pretty much becomes profit. So if you're in an area, I always say live where you want.
And when we say 5 is profit, is that with hiring out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like running the full business and the operations, you really need more than 5 residents to make money on this, unless you're going to live in it, work in it, do it yourself. Then you can have less than 5, but that's not what we do, right? We're on the real estate investor side, not like trying to build myself a job. I don't want to work in this. I just want to have options for my family when they need care and be able to cash flow better on the real estate that I own. So that's really what we kind of focus on, is that end of it.
How did you get into this? This is such a unique niche.
Yeah, my grandmother fell and she needed assisted living. And when we were looking for places for her, I'm originally from New York. That's where she's from. And every place was like disgusting, smelled bad, food was bad, care was bad. And they were expensive and had waiting lists. And it was like, there has to be something better, you know? My dad had been a real estate investor for 30 years and he had walked into one of these one time not really knowing what it was. So he's like, what if we did this? What if we bought our own? She could live for free. We can cash flow. Like, this is a good idea. So he started hunting for one.
And how long ago was this?
14 years ago.
Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah. So he started hunting for one, walked in, and then literally told the lady who owned it, he's like, hey, have you ever thought about selling this? And she was like, actually, I'm like filing for bankruptcy.
Actually, here's the case. Like, just take over.
Literally. She was like, I'm filing
Man,
for
what a
bankruptcy
blessing.
right now.
That is huge.
He's like, literally, it was like a movie, like write it on a napkin, like I'll buy it from you and get you like kind of out of this. So
I love this.
She's actually like a killer in assisted living. She owns, I think, over 45 now care homes here.
Wow.
That particular home wasn't working for her, so she needed to get out so she could go do others. So he kind of saved her, and then he got in, and it was an existing care home. So the intent was to move my grandmother in. She passed before we could.
Oh.
But we kind of fell in love with the industry,
Yeah.
bought two more, and then my dad was kind of like, hey, I need some support and help. And I was a flight attendant at the time and making zero money. Like, it's so much fun, but you don't make anything. So I'm like, hey, if you pay me this much, I'll come work for you. And he's like, no. And then like after a couple more months of me just like sneaking in his office, helping him, then he's like, okay, I will do it. And so I quit, started working for him. That was 10 years ago. And there was 3 of us. Now there's 50 of us, 8 other businesses. Like, it's just skyrocketed.
That's amazing. So my mother works for me, which is an interesting dynamic because we
Yes.
kind of did it backwards,
Yeah.
right? And so I feel like working with family gets a bad reputation.
Oh, yeah.
And people are like, don't hire your family, don't do this. But having a working relationship with my mom is amazing because it's like this deeper understanding of each other.
Totally.
Because normally you have this like separate passion that your parents or your child doesn't understand.
Nope.
And you get to have this like deeper relationships. We do have days where I'm like, Mom, what's your problem? What's actually happening today? Because you were insane. Like, what's the deal?
Yep.
But that's few and far between.
Yep.
And to be able to have the relationship where you could actually be like, lady, what's your deal today?
Yeah.
So how does that work with you and your dad?
You know, my dad and I had the best working relationship, like probably a dream. Like, people would say, isn't it so hard to work in family business? I'm like, not with him. He's the best. He was so understanding and kind and like never treated me like a child, always viewed me as an adult and respected my opinions, wanted me to join in, wanted me to learn, was willing to help and educate. You know, I have worked since with uncles, cousins, every single one of my siblings and all of their partners. Now my father passed in 2021, so my mom is now our boss.
Aww.
And you know, I it's been everybody along the way. I will say, like, and she knows this, you know, working with my dad, we had a really beautiful working relationship. My mom and I do not have so much of a great working relationship, and that's when I found out really what working in family business is, because it's not always peaches and cream. It's not always somebody who's there and can do that for you. She's just a different person than he is. And I was used to him as a boss, and she just thinks differently, has different risk tolerance, you know, has different preferences. So things have changed, but I have had all the ups and downs of family business for sure.
And so how do you keep your cool and like keep your relationship during that stuff? Because some people end up never talking to each other again.
I know. And, you know, because all my siblings have worked with us, you know, we've had moments like that where one of my brothers and I were not that close right now because of family business drama. And that sucks. Like, that literally, like, I have gone to now 2 years of therapy over this. Like, it is the worst because you desperately do not want this to impact your actual relationship. But when money is involved and work is involved in all of this, you can't help but that it impacts it. So it is tough. And I think it's one of those things that
It's like amazing when it's amazing.
It's
and
amazing
terrible when it's terrible.
Exactly.
There's like no in between.
There's
It's
no
either
in between.
awesome or awful.
There's no in between.
Yeah.
And I, like you said, I like working with friends and family because who else am I going to work with? Enemies and strangers? Like, no, I want.
Okay, I loved how you worded that because I have this thing that I like to talk about. Did you go to college?
Yeah.
For what?
2 degrees, communication and family and human development.
Oh, well, that's
Basically, like, I learned how to be a mom in college.
Okay, so I went to business college and they teach you about like not hiring people you like.
Yeah.
Why would we not hire people we like? Do you know how much time we spend with these people? I am
Thank you.
only hiring people I like. That is
Thank
the
you.
most ridiculous. Like, of course, they still need to be qualified.
Yes.
But you still need to want to spend time with them. Otherwise, I'm like avoiding them,
Correct.
which you don't want to do.
I literally only hire friends and family, and like I love it because if I'm going to hang with you all day, I want to like you. You know, it's funny. My some of my coworkers and I were going to Vegas next weekend for 10X, and we're like, oh, let's plan this dinner, let's plan this, and it's like I want to have fun on a work trip. I don't want to be like, oh, my coworkers, we have to go to dinner tonight.
Right. We have Carolina who's in the room. She's my program director. She's literally staying in the room here with my 13-year-old and I because we love her. We don't want her in a different room. You want the girl party at the end of the night, right?
Yes.
So I love that. And I'm glad somebody else besides me is being like, don't hire people that are just qualified.
No, but I will say, like, with that caveat, with the star, the asterisk, right? It can go wrong.
It does
I
go
have
very,
lost-
it is going to go wrong.
It is-
not every time, right? But I have lost best friends.
Yes, I was going to say that same thing.
Yeah. It
Tough.
can go very wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you take it all with a grain of salt, and I think, like, maybe this is silly, but, like, I'm a Capricorn, and I'm very just, like, work. I've always kind of been that way. That is hard, I think, in friendships, too, to have a friend who really prioritizes work and you don't.
Well, I'm an Aries, so I have this like extreme fire, right? And so not everybody can handle the like extreme fire, right? So I get the personalities and how that can collide.
Ladies, it's time to redefine the conference experience with the Society of Entrepreneurial Women Retreats. Step inside a world tailored for women just like you, where you can lead, learn, and unwind in style. Our retreats offer everything from insightful investing sessions to fun activities like salsa dancing, boat cruises, food tours, and so much more, ensuring you come back not just inspired, but truly refreshed. Join a community that celebrates you wholly and supports your every endeavor. Ready for a retreat that changes the game? Visit the link in our show notes and find out how you can be part of this exclusive experience.
And so I know from Instagram that you have a
Yes.
child.
Yes.
And so as we talk about family businesses,
Yeah.
what do you think? How is that going to continue on down the line?
You know what's so cute is we gave him a microphone for Christmas, and
obviously
every
he's
day-
too young to know,
He's too
right?
young. He's like a little over a year.
Yeah.
But he loves that microphone, and when I bring him on stage, he is happy as a clam, like smiling, waving. We take him off stage, he's crying his eyes out. I think he will want to be something in the public eye because I'm kind of training him that way. But I don't know. I mean, I think the care homes, he will continue those because that's like part
Gonna
of
be
his
a need.
legacy, and
Yeah.
it's just cash flow for him. I spend 5 hours a week and I get over 10K a month on those 3 homes. So it's almost 40K a month coming in and 5 hours a week. Like, I'm going to teach him, you do these 5 hours, you keep
You
that
do whatever
coming in,
you want
you go
for the
do
rest of
whatever
the time.
you want.
Yeah.
You know, and that was like the beautiful thing when my dad passed. It was like all this got passed to me. I didn't have to go work again if I didn't want to, but I really actually love sharing with people and teaching people how to do this. And it was like, it's easy for me. This doesn't feel like work every day when I get up coming to talk to people about something I love that was passed to me. And if I can help you open one so your kids can be set for life, like that, it brings me so much joy, you know? So I hope to pass it to him. His dad owns his own business as well, so maybe he'll want to do daddy's business, but
Speaking of that and shifting gears a little bit, I want to talk about something that's a little taboo and that people like, especially both of us being like super white.
Yes.
Like I'm Irish, English, and Dutch. Like you don't get much whiter, right? And so it's kind of taboo to talk about, but you're in an interracial relationship.
Yeah.
As am I.
Yeah.
My husband's Chinese and your husband is
Black.
And so I don't think we talk about while we have these really amazing relationships, sometimes there's this dynamic because we're raised differently.
Yes.
We're parented differently. Sometimes we eat differently. Oh my gosh, the stuff my husband eats, I'm like, ugh! And then he's like, Heather, this has no flavor. Like, why do you want to eat these beans and rice? Like, what is wrong with this?
Yeah.
I can even remember, but we were in Singapore and I thought I was eating a bowl of like chicken noodle soup, right? And I'm eating my soup and then there's a chicken foot inside my soup. And I'm like, as an American, I'm like, oh my God, I can't eat a chicken foot. But that's totally normal in Asian culture, right?
Yeah.
So we work really hard to like celebrate our differences as opposed to like pick on them. But it does take work.
Yeah.
How has that been in your relationship?
I think it's actually funny because I'll notice things that I'm like, oh, should I not have like assumed that this is normal of things that the way we do things or the way we say things. So I try to be really conscious of it. And I also think that's like the culture we live in. They kind of force us to be like, hey, you need to be mindful. You need to be paying attention about how everything might not be the same as how.
Well, they also make it feel like because we're white, it's not okay that we think it should be a certain way.
Yeah.
But then the other culture gets to be like, no, we only do this.
Correct. That's what we say is he is not mindful at all.
Exactly.
Of how I think he will be like, what is wrong with you? Like, it should be like this. It should be like that. And
we're like, meant to like tiptoe around it.
Right.
That's so weird. How did it get that way?
I don't think it's a male-female thing. I do think it is like a culture thing. And I think it's because
it should go both ways of being mindful and like trying to like be like, okay, just because we did it this way, my parents might not have been right. So let's talk through like what we should actually be doing.
Yes.
Even with food, like what is healthy and what isn't from these two different cultures.
Yes.
Or the way you raise kids.
The way you raise kids, just everything. There's so many things that are different, and it's not, I do think it's just cultural. It's just the way we were raised. And also, I'll say that a lot of our differences have not maybe so much to do with race, but they have to do with the difference in socioeconomic backgrounds. Like, I was raised in a more affluent family. My dad was always a real estate investor, so he hustled. I mean, he was grinding his whole entire life, but we had money our whole life. I'm not going to ever front about that or lie about that. I've been called a Nepo baby before. I'll take it because you know what? There's a lot of people who are raised with money who aren't doing anything with their life.
Yeah, you could be on a boat with your margarita.
Correct. And I sit here and I work every day and I put in the work so that it could be even better for my kids, not saying like, let's just keep it going and keep living this easy life. No. But he was not raised with that at all. You know, we'll talk about simple things like shoes. If my shoes get dirty, I literally throw them away. Like, I don't care. I'm like, whatever, I'll buy a new pair. He was like,
so it's crazy to hear you talk about this because the culture that we see would be like, that's because you're the white person, right? The white person has the money and the other one doesn't. So in our marriage, I'm the one who grew up super poor.
Who cleans the shoes.
And my husband's like, my shoes are nasty. They're trash. I'm like, you got those like 3 months ago. Why are they so dirty?
Yes.
Like, you need to keep them clean.
Yeah.
And so it's literally the opposite in our marriage.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's a race thing.
The stereotypical, like the white people this and the other culture that.
I don't think that's
But they play it to be that way.
They do. So I think it is like, no, it's so much more about that where like he, not really anymore, but like growing up, he would get his one pair of shoes for the school year and clean them every day when he got home because he didn't want to be embarrassed to have dirty shoes at school. And I would literally throw them away and go buy another pair. Like it's simple things like that is really hard to then bring into a family together where it translates into every angle of our lives.
It literally does because my husband, he'll go to the grocery store instead of me and he'll take like, say, my 8-year-old and she comes back with like 2 Chomps beef sticks that she's got before we left and like all these like $40 in snacks. I'm like, why did we get an 8-year-old $40 in snacks in one grocery store trip? And he's like, what do you mean? That's the snacks she wanted. I'm like, but that's not what we buy. Yeah. And so it's really interesting how you think of money because of that upbringing.
Yes. I think that has more to do with it necessarily than race. And I feel like anybody it's interesting because our son has red hair. So when he came out with red hair,
the cutest hair,
everyone was like, milkman, you know, like how can he have red hair? Well, we did little ancestry.com on him because I'm like, I want to know where this red hair is coming from. I have cousins with red hair, but how can it be from his side? This feels so rare. And lo and behold, he's got Native American, he's got white in him, he's got this, he's got that, but he's primarily black. So somewhere in his genes, you know, we magically had a redhead, and now we're like, we have to have another just for science.
So you think you'll have more kids?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, God willing.
Your son is how old now?
A little over a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
When do you think?
I mean, I think we're starting to try soon.
Okay, so how will that affect your business? Because you were saying that with the senior living facility,
residential
assisted living.
Yeah.
Okay, residential assisted living. You're not working a lot of hours on it.
No.
What are you doing with the rest of your time?
Honestly, I travel. I talk a ton about this on stages, on podcasts, on webinar. Like this month, I think I'm gone 20 out of 30 days this month. So it's...
How are you going to do that?
Right now, we have a ton of support. I've got a full-time nanny at home, and that's amazing. And because he owns his own business, he also has a flexible schedule.
Okay.
So he can come home and support, and he's a super hands-on dad, which is so amazing. And I'm really, really blessed to have that. But we've got a plethora of babysitters. We got the full-time nanny. We got the whole shebang. So if another comes, we have talked about how like, hey, it's going to add another challenge. And I'm no fool. I know that that's coming. So I think it's just going to be, it takes a village. Like it really does. If you want to be a working mom, I commend moms who do not have support, who are doing it all on their own, because I do not know how that is possible.
Yeah, I have 5 kids and we have no support. So my husband is home. I have 1 with me and I have 4 at home with my husband. And so I sometimes don't think people who have that support realize how blessed they are.
Oh my God.
Like it gives you so much flexibility.
You know, when I had Hendrix, the first month, I swear I didn't have postpartum, but I would only cry when I thought about single moms.
Yeah,
Every
it's
time
hard.
I thought about
Yeah.
single moms, I would be like, how do they do it? Because I literally was depressed.
It's so
for
hard.
y'all.
Yeah.
Like, how the heck are you doing this? Because it is, to me, it's like an impossible feat. Like, I don't know how you came out alive, how your kids came out alive. You are a miracle woman. It is insane. And the credit that needs to be due to single moms, or just even moms who
You know
have
what's interesting
an
too?
absent hubby,
Anything,
you know?
because I was a single mom for almost 7 years, and on Instagram, when I post anything that's related to that, they're like, "Yeah, but you made those stupid choices," or like, "You married that guy." It's like so weird how they make it sound like the mom's fault.
No.
Because not all of us like went and had a one night stand and got pregnant by a random person that we don't know who it is or something. And if you did that, great, you've got to figure it out now. But I didn't do that. I married a guy who was seemingly great, and I don't know how it happened that he just kind of disappeared.
No, you know what? It takes 2 to tango. So guess what? It doesn't even matter if it was a one night stand. He still did the deed. He still has responsibility. And if he walked away,
And it's so weird how like the mom is the one. It's back to that culture thing.
Yep.
Like how are we the one with all of the responsibility, regardless of how it works?
yep, it's so tough. But yes, my postpartum was all for single mamas, and I would just text all my single mom friends, "Are you okay? How can I help you?" And they're like, "My kid's 5 now. Like, what do you mean?" And
Like
I'm
I'm good now.
I don't know.
I'm sleeping at night, right? This is okay now.
Yeah.
So for those people who want to learn more about this asset class,
Yeah.
who are like, I can totally see it. My grandparents are getting older. My
Yes.
parents are getting older. I want really good, healthy options for them. And I'm already a real estate investor. So this
Yep.
totally makes sense for me. I feel like there's a lot of people who like say the words, but finding the details on like, how do I actually do this?
Yep.
Which is something that you teach.
Literally, yes. We do 3-day trainings here in Phoenix, Arizona, where we go through step by step how to do this. So you leave knowing exactly what to do. You go out, you have your game plan, so you can go make
They
it
leave
happen.
with, say, a playbook on
Yes.
this is what I do next.
Yep, exactly.
And so how do they find that information?
RAL101.com is a great place to go to start. There's free webinars, free books. You can schedule a call with me or the team or get signed up for a training. And we're also on all forms of social at RAL Academy.
And your social is?
The Isabel Guarino.
Of course it is. Spell that for us, for those who don't know how to spell it.
Yes, my name, ISABELLEGUARINO.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks
I
for
appreciate your
having
time.
me.
Remember, authenticity is your superpower. Stay unapologetically yourself, and let's continue embracing our uniqueness together. Make sure you hit that follow button so you don't miss the next episode.